Up next on UBC, brought to you by...
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to UBC News Tonight. This is the second edition of UBC News Tonight. It is the 17th day of June 2021. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and Elizabeth Nakakoni on sign language. Before we get into our stories making headlines, let's first take a look at the headlines. In our headlines today, improved roads to improve trade between Uganda and DRC. Vetting for appointed ministers end with pledge to delegate service. South Africa eases restrictions on private power suppliers. And in sports, 5 Ugandan athletes flagged off for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. A warm welcome once again to UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and Elizabeth Nakakoni on sign language. Now, news just in, Uganda's chances of adding a team sport on its array of Olympics-bound athletes have suffered a major blow. Now, this after bashment of the rugby sevens team from the Repérage tournament in France following COVID-19 positive tests among the squad. Now, the Ugandan team, captained by Michael Wokorach, tested negative on departure, but on arrival, PCR results proved otherwise, much to the detriment of the team that had in fact endured the mandatory quarantine. Uganda was destined to start its games on Friday against Jamaica in a group that also has Hong Kong, France and Chile at the tournament, where the top team gains on Olympic slots. Now, President Yoweri Museveni and that of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi Tshilombo, have launched construction works for the modernization of roads inside the Democratic Republic of Congo to be constructed by the joint partnership between the two governments. Now, UBC TV spoke to the engineer-in-chief, Wilson Bagonza, how the two governments will co-share the project cost and the benefits. Take a look.
The launch was held at Impondwe Bridge, Uganda's Kasese district, and Kasindi in the DRC's North Kivu province. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni and counterpart from DRC Felix Tshisekedi launched the construction of key roads to improve trade between the two countries. The roads include 80-kilometer Kasindi-Beni and Beni-Butembo, 54 kilometers inside the Democratic Republic of Congo, and 89-kilometer road from Bunagana in Kisoro district to Ruthuru-Goma in DRC. The government of Uganda, through the Minister of Works and Transport, and DR Congo, will each contribute $66 million, about 223 billion Uganda shillings, which is about 40% of the total cost into the construction of the roads, measuring 223 kilometers. The total project cost is estimated at $330 million.
60% of that money from development partners, private sector financing, and bring it into the project. Now, the idea is that money from the contractor will be injected into the project, used to construct the roads up to tarmac level. Then the contractor will charge tolls for the road users.
The project will mostly benefit business fraternity transacting between Uganda and DR Congo.
Naye engudo zibadde mbi nnyo emmotoka tezisobola kuyitamu. Naye twebaza owekitiibwa President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni omukago gwaguddewo ne ggwanga lya Congo nti kigenda tuyamba nnyo.
Project eno egenda tuyambako ffe ng'aba youth tujja kuba nga tukola businesses bulungi. Secondly egenda kuizeninga transport.
Kubanga kujja kubaawo speed delivery of services and items.
According to Uganda Revenue Authority, Uganda exports goods worth over 1 trillion shillings to the DRC, and improved infrastructure will ease access of products to the market in both countries.
Uganda exports goods worth about $500 billion for the last financial year, 2020, to DRC. That can easily quadruple or even times 4, 5 or 10 once the road is good.
While in Congo, President Museveni told the Congolese that after DRC joining the East African community, he will support all developments to benefit the two countries.
So I want to thank His Excellency Tshisekedi.
Je voudrais remercier son Excellence Monsieur Tshisekedi
for bringing Congo into the East African community.
Et de nous avoir conduit dans cette Union africaine.
Because Congo outside the East African community was artificial.
Parce que le Congo en dehors de la communauté est-africaine était artificiel.
You cannot talk of East African community without Congo.
Nous ne pouvons pas parler de la communauté d'Afrique, des États de l'Afrique de l'Est sans parler du Congo.
And we are ready for more projects.
Et nous y sommes encore pour beaucoup plus d'autres projets.
Au lieu de construire des murs entre nous, il vaut mieux construire des ponts.
It is better to build bridges.
Construction of the Mpondwe-Kasindi one-stop border post and the Mpondwe border export zone is also underway to facilitate trade, movement of people, goods and services between the two countries. Bernard Higa, UBC News, Kasese.
The Minister of Health designate, Jane Ruth Acheng, has said the arrival of 175,200 AstraZeneca vaccine from the COVAX facility is a timely intervention since the country had run out of vaccines. Out of the 964,000 doses, 869,915 people have been vaccinated, which is 90.2% of the vaccines received.
A year ago, the COVAX facility.
Minister of Health designate Jane Ruth Acheng has said that a person does not need to be tested before having the vaccine because it has no effect. She says that the vaccine does not prevent anyone from getting COVID-19, but it helps to prevent severe disease and being hospitalized. Dr. Acheng was receiving the 175,200 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine at Entebbe Airport.
We are in a state that needs all hands to come together to address the pandemic. How did we get here? Ugandans were not listening when we were saying we have variants in the country. And the variants give you 2 months as it is spreading. Thereafter, the result is what we are seeing. No amount of oxygen, no amount of vaccines, no increasing ICU beds will get us out of this situation. As others have said before, the best vaccine is ourselves. We need to be responsible people and implement the standard operating procedures.
In the second phase of vaccination, priority will be given to health workers not yet vaccinated, teachers, people with comorbidities, and those due for their second dose.
We are expecting about 688,000 doses very soon. So it is only important that we start and continue as the doses keep on flowing in. And we don't lose track of the priority populations that need to be vaccinated. Our vaccination program this time round will run in the form of campaigns, because what we witnessed over the 6 months that we had the vaccines was the hesitation of people, and yet they wanted to get vaccinated. People want the vaccines to be taken to them, but we are appealing to them to come where the vaccination teams will be.
The French ambassador to Uganda said that so far 129 countries have received more than 81.3 million doses of the vaccine from the COVAX facility.
We need to be very clear. It is just the beginning. We know that it is not this quantity of vaccine that will solve all the situation. It is the beginning. We are committed on this. We'll continue providing vaccines for Uganda and all the African continent first. And beyond vaccination, we are also very committed to work on how to provide this country oxygen. You need to produce oxygen. We are also available to provide masks, to provide tests, etc.
The UNICEF representative in Uganda said the second shipment of the 175,200 doses from the COVAX facility is an addition to the first doses that Uganda received in June of 864,000 doses of vaccines from the facility that were followed by the 100,000 doses as a donation from India.
These are very good news for the people of Uganda, that vaccines are coming in and they will keep coming in. But there is another vaccine that is available in the hands of every citizen already. Follow the standard operational procedure to protect yourself. The vaccines are important, but the SOPs are equally important at the moment, and this is the vaccine every one of us has in hand. I congratulate the government of Uganda for the continuous effort to make vaccines available. I also appreciate and thank the government of France and the people of France for their collaboration through COVAX and through the G7 and the EU as well. And I would like to encourage everyone to follow the SOPs and take the vaccines whenever your turn has come.
Now, vetting of the recently appointed ministers has successfully been concluded, with more of them promising exemplary leadership. State Minister for Housing, Persis Namganza, expresses readiness to address the housing both in rural and urban areas. Her determination was similarly shared by other vetted ministerial nominees, who also included General David Muhoozi of Internal Affairs. Take a look.
I wouldn't want to start from a point of pessimism. Lots of things have been done, but we can do better, especially in areas of effective policing. I think we are still below the ratios, universal ratios of policing. Issues of image, yes, image. Issues of motivation.
Of course, this is a sector which has been given very, very minimum attention by the government. Right now, we have a deficit of 2.1 million houses, That's a very, very huge gap, which we need to cover up. Talk about the lack of institutional houses, like for teachers, health workers. Like in this particular period of COVID, we would have had our health workers quarantined where these medical facilities are, if they were those health workers' houses.
It's not that you dream a district should be and it becomes. Baseline studies are made, the committees go and visit and establish. By the time Parliament rules and decides there should be a district, it means there is a need. And it is the mandate of government to take services nearer to the people. So it's not haphazard that districts simply come up.
This is an assignment. The other one was more of humanitarian work. I have now been deployed to handle development proper. So I'm happy to move on. I'm very happy to move on.
Nenda kukolera abantu ba Uganda bonna nga sisosola. Nkugambye ne bali bangambye sisosola. Saagala kusosola. Bonna abantu ba Uganda bonna mbaagala, bonna balungi, bonna baagala emirembe, bonna baagala okukulaakulana. N'olwekyo nze kuweereza. Njakuleete ekyokulabirako ekitabaddeewo eri bannayuganda bonna.
I am indeed challenged, but I know the God who appointed me is the one going to lead me through. And I know the God who I serve is always a just one and is a parent. So he will lead me through it. And we shall excel, I tell you.
COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus, can cause respiratory infections. Ugandan medical experts are yet to approve helmet, non-invasive ventilation, the balloon-like ventilators that can help critically ill patients at ICUs get enough oxygen while preventing the spread of infection. Dr. Bruce Chirenga, head of Lung Institutes, notes that they just imported the device. It has to be tested first for efficiency, then advise government on the way forward.
Coronavirus can cause severe respiratory infections, inflame the lining of the lungs and the air sacs at the bottom of the lungs. And once the air sacs don't work, less oxygen is pumped into the bloodstream, thus no carbon dioxide is removed from the body. Medical experts note that once COVID-19 patients reach this stage, they will need machines to push oxygen into their body.
Greater than 20 liters of oxygen per minute, meaning that we can no longer support them using simple oxygen devices, the ones you've seen, the mask, the nasal prongs. Now they need additional support. This air you see here has a lot of weight. I don't know whether you realize it. When you are normal, you move it in and out. You fall sick, you will see. This air becomes too heavy for you to move. And that's what we call the work of breathing. So because these people's lungs are weak, now they can no longer pull this heavy air into their lungs and out. So now we start to support them. We give them oxygen, but now we give them support using pressure from a machine to move this air into them. This is what we call positive airway pressure. What people maybe have heard is CPAP. Now, when people fail on that, then we need to put a tube down their lungs, relax them, what people call knocking them down, and now a machine breathes for them. And that's what we call a ventilator.
Therefore, medics want to manage well and care for critically ill patients at ICU. Dr. Bruce Chirenga and a team of other medical experts have imported helmet non-invasive ventilation that is to go through efficacy test. The helmet non-invasive ventilation is an alternative for management of acute hypoxemic respiratory failure in COVID-19 patients.
This is new technology. It has just arrived and we are going to test it. Probably on about 20 patients, and then we'll advise the country to see. So these are the things which we are using to treat people who have critical COVID. It's going to be a game changer. Just sit there and you are getting your oxygen, you are getting your pressure. You've seen it has even where you can put a straw, you can drink water, you can open it up, That will be so that is COVID.
The helmet, the device is made of a lightweight transparent plastic that looks like a spacesuit hood. It seals tightly at the neck with 2 tubes which supply oxygen while removing carbon dioxide.
It's simple. This is a helmet for delivering oxygen. You can call it a hood. It looks like a helmet. This actually just came. Even my colleagues coming here, we are going to set it up. We just imported it. It's called a helmet. If you have seen people in ICU, we put a mask on their face, and the mask covers them. It is a bit uncomfortable. So we think using this, by putting it completely on your head, we can now give you that pressure I'm talking about. We can also give you oxygen. For us, we just put now the oxygen here when it is on your head. We think this is going to be more comfortable and may prevent people from going onto a ventilator.
Dr. Kirenga notes that they will use these helmets for ICU patients who display symptoms from low oxygenation levels due to COVID-19 and hopes that the device will stabilize the patient's clinical condition and allow for more rapid improvement. Zahara Abigaba, UBC.
Members of Parliament have joined the campaign to create public awareness on the deadly coronavirus disease that has claimed many lives. The MPs from different constituencies are now giving different COVID-19 preventative messages to the population.
I know Masaka Regional, Sembabule, we normally take the patients to Masaka Regional Referral Hospital, but I don't want you to get there. Please make sure you prevent yourselves from getting this funny disease. As we say in Uganda, that okugema kusinga okuwonya. Please insist so much on diet. We have the fruits, we have jackfruit, we have the watermelons, we have the pineapples. Please concentrate on feeding. We have our beans. Make sure we feed our children, we feed them on time, and we make sure that we follow the diet. Much as these days we have financial constraints, but do your best to ensure that the immunity of our children is seriously boosted. I know we shall overcome.
But one thing I would advise my people of Soroti City is that there is no hospital, there is no doctor who is going to cure you from this disease. The best thing you can do is to prevent yourself from getting it. Stay home, keep social distance, always wear your mask. It is us. The challenge is on us, we the people who are still alive, to ensure that we follow the precautions that were put in by the Ministry of Health, because it's only in that way that we can fight COVID-19.
The Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, His Grace Samuel Kazimba, has urged Ugandans to stop politicking about the deadly COVID-19 pandemic. His Grace was speaking during the funeral service of the late Benon Magezi, the Bishop of Northern Kigezi Diocese, who succumbed to COVID-19 after developing breathing complications. In his message read by Honorable Jim Muhwezi, the President mourned the Bishop's untimely death and offered 20 million Ugandan shillings to cater for burial arrangements and cautioned Ugandans to be vigilant. Among those who attended the service were MPs, former leader of FDC, retired Dr. Kiza Besije, family, friends and in-laws.
Washing of our hands, social distancing, using the sanitizer, but also soaps. Let's not take these issues to be political. Also, vaccination is very important.
It's a very sad day to see that we are mourning our bishop, a very young bishop, both in age and in service as a bishop. It's very sad. I bring the condolences from His Excellency the President, who was informed about the loss of the Bishop of North Kigezi and Right Reverend Benon Magezi. Magezi has been very mental as coming Jody Council, and as you said, Your Grace, he was taken to the new hospital at Malago, the women's hospital, and later in the morning of the 5th, I think he developed complications and he was transferred to...
May his soul rest. Now, the Equal Opportunities Commission has called upon Ugandans to embrace mindset change if they are to benefit from the new parish model. The call was made during the swearing-in ceremony of the Commission chairperson, Safia Juko Nalule, by the Deputy Chief Justice Richard Butera.
I, Safia Juko Nalule, swear in the name of the Almighty God that I will well and truly exercise.
Sophia Nalule took oath of office as chairperson of the Equal Opportunities Commission. Joel Cox Ojok, deputy chairperson, Mary Wasagari member, and Dennis Tumusime also member. They took oath before the Deputy Chief Justice Richard Butera, pledging to ensure gender and equity prevails in Uganda.
The idea of provision of equal opportunities in our community is a progressive constitutional development aimed at advancing our society from the old setup to enable the society advance together without leaving anybody behind. The appointment for each of you into office brings a lot of hope to the Commission that you have been appointed to serve under. I implore you to always remember your cardinal duties to the nation, the Constitution, and the people of Uganda, on whose behalf you have been sworn in to serve.
Deputy Chief Justice Richard Butera advised members of the Commission to deliver service delivery to marginalized persons.
Commissioners, as you take on this new assignment, you need to always remember that you are part of the chain and building block to the desired national development. Always serve the public with humility, integrity. Make decisions regarding your institution and the country with utmost sobriety.
Sophia Juko Nalule, the new sworn-in chairperson of the Equal Opportunities Commission, called for mindset change if everyone is to benefit from government programs.
We are going to be guided by the Constitution, the Equal Opportunities Commission, and the other laws of the country. We are going to be part of those people implementing the NDP3. We are going to be part of that team to awaken Ugandans to participate in this development process. But I'm also making a call to all Ugandans to embrace these programs, to ensure that support is given to the marginalized persons. First of all, to be exposed to the opportunities available, then maybe to get the skills required, and then to get their issues put in the national budget.
The new committee appointed by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in January this year will serve for 5 years. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
Today in History.
On the evening of June 17, 2015, a mass shooter took the lives of 9 African Americans people at a Bible study at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina. The massacre at a historic black church deeply shook a nation already jaded by frequent gun violence and heralded the return of violent white nationalism in America. Among the victims was the activist and state senator, Reverend Clementa Pinckney, the church's senior pastor, carrying on Emmanuel AME's legacy as a center of civil rights organizing. Mass shootings were common in the United States by 2015, but the Charleston massacre was a clear act of white supremacist violence that came as the nation slowly realized its racism problem was getting worse, not better. Then President Barack Obama, who knew Pekini, delivered the eulogy at his funeral, leading the assembly in the singing of Amazing Grace.
In chess, the small one can become the big one. It's the same here. And here too. Watch every move. Record every number so you can plan better. No matter the size of your dream, tomorrow's success belongs to those who keep today's records clean. File your returns today.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Senchu points when you deposit, send and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back from that break. Now, integrated epidemiology, surveillance and public health emergency has assured Ugandans about COVID-19 related mistrust and health impacts. It follows public complaints and doubts about the type of vaccine and their destination, wondering as it's rightful to respond to this caused. The Commissioner, Dr. Alan Mrutu Niyonzima, assures the public that the vaccines are authentic.
The overwhelming numbers of cumulative cases, deaths and recoveries in the country have caused controversy among the public, leaving them in a medical mistrust in the health sector. The Commissioner, Integrated Epidemiology Surveillance and Public Health Emergency at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Alan Muruta Niyonzima, assures Ugandans that the vaccines are safe. He dispelled fears among the public who doubt that if a person is vaccinated and then gets infected with COVID-19, he or she is more likely to succumb to COVID-19. The doctor advises the public to go for medical checkup instead of banking on self-medication. Uganda has received another batch of vaccine as the public wait for the vaccination exercise to commence. Irene Faith Nantongo, UBC News.
Chira Division Resident Division Commissioner Kawanao Isaac has urged all the leaders to emphasize the presidential directives of SOPs in the community through forming a village task force. He disclosed this during groundbreaking masks, sanitizers and other equipment, which was organized by the LC1 of Kamuli village in Chireka, John Lubega, who advised the public to be vigilant while at work.
Through the document of the chairman, now the jab, instead of using it at Health Center 4, we are now going to move zone by zone. For the course of development, we must work as a team because we need good roads, we need good health facilities, we need service delivery to our people, and we need to encourage other chairmen, Mr. Chairman of the division, let this one run to the whole of your division so that we reduce the deaths of people who are dying of COVID. And even those with COVID, those who are being on treatment, we need to pray for them, and they need also to adhere what they are supposed to do so that they recover quickly. I wish to take this opportunity and honor to launch this task force of Kamuli C, headed by Uncle John Rubega and coordinated by the chairperson because he's up there, overseer of Namugongo Division. To use your experience, to use your techniques, to make sure that we put this information to our people.
Ugandans are urged to adhere to the recently enhanced government restrictions aimed at curbing the surge in COVID-19 cases across the country. The Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies says it's time government interjects in the issue of their clients who already acquired visas and air tickets to travel for work but are currently stranded in up-country districts. This was during a press briefing in Kampala.
The current COVID-19 situation is worrying and a clear manifestation that whoever thought COVID-19 was about politics was wrong. Players in the labor externalization sector, which was held for contributing towards the country's GDP, are also calling on government to rescue their businesses such that they do not scramble amidst the new restrictions.
After our government have announced the lockdown, we as the sector players, by God's grace, we had earlier prepared ourselves by having all the SOPs in place. However, it has affected us because one of the groups that we take are supposed to be trained. So that those are made due to the fact that the schools have been closed. The training centers also were closed.
The Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies says their clients who already required visas and air tickets to travel for work are stranded in up-country districts.
It's my appeal as a sector head that government looks into the issue of moving people who already have tickets and visas under the externalization umbrella.
In another development, Ugandans have been urged to be vigilant and keen about their life amidst the pandemic. Agaba Patrick, a pastor, says Ugandans should take charge of their life.
Dying. This is not political. This is real and it is on the ground. Therefore, I appeal to you, Uganda, and my fellow Ugandans. Let us take charge, let us take keen and be serious on the issues of these SOPs.
An LC1 chairperson has stormed Mbale City Council offices demanding for an explanation as to why their allowances worth 120,000 shillings have not been paid to date. The angry chairpersons from the former Mbale Municipality Division say they got information that their money was deposited on the Mbale City bank account in April this year.
A section of local council chairpersons from former Mbale municipality have stormed Mbale City Council offices demanding payment. The angry chairpersons from divisions of Wanale, Industrial and Northern say authorities have been silent, fearing that the money could be returned to the treasury.
Most of the sub-counties outside the Mbale municipality, they have got their money. But here, we haven't received our money. And according to the financial program, when it reaches 15th June, when you have not spent money, it is called what? Back. So that's our fear. That's why we have come, so that our money is not taken back to the center.
Led by their coordinator, Wambanzu Wamanga, the LC1 chairperson said the money totals to 11.7 million shillings that should go to 60 LC1 chairpersons.
Galeho bagambe nti sente bazikwatirayo ngate bo bajjayo sente zaffe zajja wano bazikozesa mu mirimu gyabwe kyekitunyinyizizza nnyo nga abakulembeze ab'ekitundu lwakuba naffe tuli bantu tuli bakozi ba gavumenti nga bo kyetwagala ekitulese wano twagala sente zaffe lwakuba embeera ezifaanana bwe zisinza okuleeta abantu okuba nti bekyawa gavumenti ya NRM.
Tutambudde emirundi mingi nga tujja wano nga batuwa empty promises. If you come on Tuesday like this, they tell you come on Friday. Goja, they are not there. They just tell you that you live here, your contacts. Tobola baba, it is overdue. Atesikwe murundi ogusose, every year it is the same thing happening here. Why is it that every year such mistakes are being made?
Our money, the one for this year, it came in April, towards the beginning of May. So when we informed, we came, we started following up the money. Reaching here, they tell us wait 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 days, 2 days, 4 days, 5 days. So we moved until we got exhausted. Recent information came that though we are here, but our money has been what? It has been stolen. It has been diverted by some other people.
Mbale City Public Relations Officer James Kutosi promised to clear the payment by end of this week.
Finance directed the person who is responsible, who is clerk to council, to request for this money and pay it normally like we have always been what? Paid. We are very sorry for any kind of delay that has been there, for any kind of misunderstanding. But we also appreciate the fact that when you need something, you need it. And it is your right to demand for it. Nobody comes here to blame anybody for coming up to claim for his right.
Agreed. I think we shall have to change the person who is in charge of managing this requisition. Because it is just like, you know, others were saying they told us to wait for 72 hours. Others wait for the following day. So there has been miscommunication. We're going to do, for purposes of avoiding again future challenges. The one, we shall have another person who will be in charge of LC2, LC1, gratuity, actually, and the divisions.
Now, use of mobile phones by teenagers has led to increased teenage pregnancy and early marriages in Arua district. This was during community sensitization on dangers of teenage pregnancy by Madian West Nile Diocese at Kampala Market in Logiri sub-county, Arua district.
According to Community Development Officer of Logiri sub-county of Futaru Stella Barbara, despite COVID-19 lockdowns, many teenagers in the sub-county use mobile phones to connect with boyfriends.
We have noticed that the mobile phones now are the channels of communication. Whereas the market is not there, a child has a phone that they bought for themselves, and you find the parent doesn't bother. The parent is not even, you know, but the numbers are skyrocketing. So that COVID break where we're not able to have gatherings affected.
Recently, leaders of Arua district, spearheaded by the district chairman, Alfred Okuwonzi, and the deputy RDC, Robert Ocheng, banned disco operation in the district.
This as a warning. To those who are still operating this discourse illegally. When we get you, We shall confiscate your music system.
Amangami vile masini minongoda ubazuru.
And you also be taken to police.
Bavini mijindi mabusu arua.
Because we are not listening to the advice our leaders are giving us.
Adiskunira Amerini iyo bad lerudini yo amardiku.
Despite authorities of Arua district banning discourse in the district, locals complain that marriage ceremonies and funerals have become a perfect replacement for discourse.
Disco is not rampant. The most rampant thing is dancing at funeral places, wedding places, even dowry places. So I think with disco, there has been a bylaw set. So I think stopping disco at the disco places is there, but we should look at these functions where there are marriages and weddings or funeral rites.
I think partly there is a border influence. The life in our neighborhood penetrates deep in the Ugandan side. That is night discourse. In other words, law enforcement is very weak in our sub-county. If this habit of night discourse is really prohibited or is completely stopped, I think to some extent the likelihood of girls getting pregnant may reduce.
Logeri sub-county, being a border sub-county between DRC and Uganda, is an advantage to men who impregnate these teenagers and escape to DRC. The Community Development Officer of Logeri Sub-County, Ofutaru Stella, attributed the alarming cases of teenage pregnancies to negligence by parents.
Being at the border, sometimes the culprits, those who report, the culprits jump into the next country. And once they go in there, it's like they have dissolved. It is difficult to get them. But we have tried. And right now, if you go to some schools like Ejirikombe, you'll find children who are having children.
In class?
Yes, in class. So that means that we are trying to reverse it. It doesn't mean that because she got pregnant, she cannot go back to school.
From the month of January to May 2021, reports from Adraka Health Center 2 in Logeri Sub-County indicate that 95 teenagers attended antenatal care at the health facility and 7 of them delivered there. The Community Development Officer's office recorded 35 cases from January to May, as many cases remain unreported from the communities.
The multi-million-dollar Luigi Project will ease Kampala city dwellers of environmental-related disasters. Launched in 2019, the 62 billion shilling project will ensure safety, good health and improved livelihoods of over 1 million city residents settling around the Luigi Channel and its catchment.
The channel, built to international standards, is anchored onto a stable and durable state-of-the-art technology as opposed to the previous rudimental architecture. The construction material, composed of hardcore and concrete, ensures strength and durability to withstand the burden of silting and damping from the water runoff and surrounding communities.
This channel runs up to the Sega, then it joins Katonga, then to Lake Victoria. So this is a very good catchment for our precious Lake Victoria, and that's why we like to improve and also improve the lives of our neighbors and for Ugandans as well.
The channel, which is designed to ferry several tons of water, is several meters wide as it navigates its way back to the lake.
Many channels that feed this specific Luigi channel. So improving it is a wise decision for the government. It is an important thing for our country, and we promise to provide, to give good quality that is going to last for long.
The one-year construction works, when complete, will ensure good sanitary environment, safety and improved livelihoods.
Well, UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we'll return after these messages.
obadde okyenteekerateekera. Kaseera kakanaayo kyani mu kisaawe ky'omupiira kalimu vaawo mpitewo kaakaasa mmeeme n'obuwanguzi bw'ebyafaayo kyonna ekibaawo ng'abawagizi tuyimirira wamu ne ttiimu zaffe okutuusiza ddala ku nkomerero. Gino gye mipiira gy'oteekeddwa okulaba. Weekuumire ku GoTV olw'emipiira egy'akamalirizo egitabangawo mu byafaayo by'omupiira.
GoTV, love it.
COVID-19 kijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear a mask properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
Welcome back from that break. Now into business news. Kampala Capital City Authority and police enforcement have demolished a building constructed at Old Taxi Park land, contrary to KCCA physical planning standards. The demolition will create space for expansion of the park.
KCCA enforcement has demolished a building constructed on the Old Taxi Park land next to where the park lies. This is to help the decongestion of taxis that enter and exit the park. The activity was manned with a bulldozer to ease the enforcers' work. The owners of the building and those operating business were left in suspense, wondering what to do next and where to relocate.
Executive Director, Chala Chisaka, Mama webale nnyo webalire ddala omulimu gw'okoze.
It was an enjoyable moment for street children as they collected scrap and materials from the demolished structure. KCCA spokesman Daniel Nwe on a phone call confirmed the demolition and warned those who own buildings that are not approved by KCCA physical planners in the city.
This morning, there was a demolition of a structure that was under construction without permission from both the physical planning team as well as from the building control committee under the respective laws of the Physical Planning Act and the Building Control Act. Now, this was after several notices had been served to the client as well as enforcement notices. The place was put back to its original state when the construction had not commenced. It is our appeal to all in Kampala. We saw a number of structures rise without permission in the previous COVID period. There are those who would want to construct and dodge the control requirements or the permissions required. We appeal to you not to do this because you lose so much of your money.
The demolition comes after KCCA launched a plan to decongest the city, including a ban on commuter taxis operating by the roadsides. Ivan Juko, UBC News.
The fisheries sector is becoming competitive after women decided to join the area previously dominated by men. Chindi Women Fish Processors Association are adding value to fish to make it more acceptable, palatable, improved its quality, especially silverfish, previously regarded by many as an animal feed. Take a look.
This is what Chindi Women is doing, and they have given...
Women are making a difference in the fishing sector, hitherto a male-dominated field. Women involvement in fish processing is improving food security and their income status in society.
Business, we have gained so much things. For example, we do this business so that we can get school fees for our children at school, together with the home needs.
With support from Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization, Macquarie University, and the Directorate of Fisheries, women and youth have been empowered to make silverfish more palatable, accessible, and acceptable.
Our markets are within. I've been in Chindi, local markets like in Lugazi, Mukono, most towns, because it is going as far as Kabale, where people took fish as something culturally. They do not consume fish, but we have customers up to Kabale, meaning the consumption of fish has improved.
Chindi women in Ibuka district have adopted modern silverfish processing technologies that ensure fish has no smell, is sand-free, and is appreciated by all.
So we are now trying to improve this so that more people can now be able to eat it, and none of it is lost, because also there's a plenty which is used for animal and chicken consumption, but also the traders and fishermen, they get less because of, if we are selling a poor product, obviously even the price will be low.
The women dry their fish on raised racks, smoke their trapia, and even Nile perch using cancer-free smoke rings, which reads firewood or poisonous smoke, and solar tent dryers that are efficient in drying silverfish.
Why we are going in for silverfish is because the consumption of silverfish in Uganda was low. People used to take it as food for the poor and for the animals. So we are trying to add value to the silverfish such that the consumption of this fish is increased.
The director, Chindi Women Fish Processors Association, Peru Surogose, says they are drying their silverfish using solar tents, milling it and packaging it for easy access, portability, preservation and marketing.
So these are the products.
This is Intula and what?
That's the Intula.
And the
Mukene, yes. Chindi Women Fish Processors Association. That association does fish value addition. It produces many products out of silverfish. It produces peanut paste, fish paste, produces fish powder. It does the deep frying. It brings out the snacks. We do hot smoking of fish.
Fisher women and youth representatives from Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, and host Uganda recently visited Chindi landing site and interacted with women and youth fishers who are making a difference in the fisheries business through modern processing.
The consumption and people testing our products, they are seeing it has no sand, it has no those animal droppings. They have picked interest. We have put surety. They have put surety in us.
The Executive Secretary, East African Fisheries Organization, Dr. Shigala Mahogo, appreciated Chindi Women's Group for adding value to their silverfish through adopting and sharing good fishing practices with their fellow women.
On how these women from these 4 countries and youth, because there are also men here, but they are young ones, how they can learn to improve the value of Mukene, because all of them, they work in that industry of fish processing. So how do we add the value? Because up to now, most of the Mukene product is not used as human food.
Fish consumption in Uganda remains low compared to other East African countries, despite having abundant fisheries resources in lakes, rivers, swamps and ponds.
But despite the Mukene or Daga being highly dominant in the lake,
its contribution to the economy and to the income, household income, is still quite low.
Traditional briefs, poor fish handling, accessibility, and having alternative foods are some of the reasons Ugandans are reluctant to eat fish.
Feed your children on mukene, they will get all the nutrients, compared to if you feed them on, say, tilapia. Our fishery is now dominated by the small fish. The large fish are declining in quantities, the small fish are increasing up to 80%.
A meal of silverfish has high vitamin content, is nutritious, medicinal, and with the potential to raise fishers' health status, livelihoods, and incomes.
Many children and women are malnourished, and yet we know that fish is a source of some of the very important nutrients. For example, iron, or zinc, and fatty acids, or essential fatty acids, and these are very important for the health of everybody.
Regular fish consumption is similar to going for medical checkup, more often for a better livelihood.
It is a very good medicine for getting rid of those blisters, sour in the throat. And so that's why nutritionally we go for kind of, because it's that direct. It gives you direct nutrient components. And I think especially for the HIV patients.
Is a good source of the essential fatty acids, which are kind of antioxidant. You know, when you have an infection, you have a lot of oxidants in your body, toxins kind of. So these micronutrients help to get rid of those. You feel better, you put on weight. That's why HIV people are running from Mukene.
Haimana Deo, reporting for UBC News, Shin running site.
But if you see that whether they are...
And now into international news. South Africa's government will allow private investors to build their own power plants with up to 100 megawatts of generating capacity without requiring a license. The move to raise the limit from 1 megawatt is part of a wider strategy to ease energy shortages that have robbed Africa's most industrialized economy since 2005.
It exceeds calls from business to increase the threshold to at least 50 megawatts and allows the so-called embedded generation plants to provide electricity to the national grid and also to sell it to third parties.
It really does open the door in the short term, and by that I mean about 18 months, to about 5,000 to 6,000 megawatts of new generation coming on stream at no cost to the taxpayer, at no cost to the Treasury, no guarantees required from government. So this is a huge step forward.
The mining sector is raring to go. It's a heavy user of electricity.
The supplements what Eskom can't maintain and keep on the grid and need to expand. And the mining sector, I mean, we buy between 15 and 25% of Eskom's generation capacity. So, and we will keep on buying that. This just gives us, people are talking about 20 to 30% leeway.
Mining company Goldfields announced in February that it would be building a 40 megawatt plant at its South Deep operation near Johannesburg.
We will be sticking with our 40 megawatt plant, but we'd be foolish not to explore opportunities to take advantage of lifting the cap. We obviously need to link this to our energy requirements and phase it in over a period of time. And we will be looking at opportunities in this regard. As much as we want to say it's about the mining sector, it's about the country. I know the mining sector's got about 1.6 gigawatts, about 27 billion rands worth of expenditure waiting to go. That in itself is a good impetus into the economy.
We need to be just a little cautious. It has not yet been gazetted into law, and it's in the hands now, I guess, of the DMRE and NERSA to take that step to bring it into law.
This move by the government is set to be a game changer, provided all the regulations are in place and the red tape is reduced.
And now into sports. Uganda's chances of adding a team sport on its array of Olympics-bound athletes have suffered a major blow. This after banishment of the rugby sevens team from the repechage tournament in France following COVID-19 positive tests among the squad. The Uganda team, captained by Michael Wokorach, tested negative on departure, but on arrival PCR results proved otherwise, much to the detriment of the team that had in fact endured the mandatory quarantine. Uganda was destined to start its game on Friday against Jamaica in a group that also has Hong Kong, France and Chile at the tournament, where the top team gains an Olympic slot. Now, Uganda has flagged its first batch of athletes to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics that get underway next month. Now, the 5 will start with a training camp that will also help them acclimatize. Take a look.
Uganda has started dispatching its athletes that will represent at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics that start 23rd July till 8th August. The 5 that have been flagged off by State Minister for Sports Samson Oboa are swimmer Atohaire Yambala, weightlifter Julius Sekitoleko, and boxers Catherine Nanziri, Musa Bwogi, and David Semoju.
And then I request only the minister to remain with the team. Avoid situations that will expose you. Because for COVID-19, this particular variant, whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, it infects. If you are vaccinated, the severity is lower than the one who is not vaccinated. So you have that comparative advantage. Respect and practice.
These start with a training camp that will also help them to acclimatize.
What does that mean? You must remain positive where you're going. We need a lot of positivity around you. The coaches have to mentor you. It's not easy to stay under restriction. It's not easy. In my message to you, remain positive. You'll be there, which I meet with you in Tokyo Olympic Games.
Uganda has so far qualified 27 athletes for the Games, with the Uganda Athletics Federation boasting of the biggest number, but there is also a rower, Kathleen Noble. Chances of qualifying others are still high, with the Rugby Sevens team in France this weekend for a final qualifier. John Barnes, Sentamo, reporting.
Well, the second edition of UBC News Tonight has come to an end, but before we leave you, let's take another look at the headlines. Improved roads to improve trade between Uganda and DRC. Vetting 4 appointed ministers and with pledge to diligent service. South Africa eases restrictions on private power suppliers. And in sports, 5 Ugandan athletes flagged off for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Thank you so much for your company. Do enjoy your night. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and Elizabeth Nakakoni on Sign Language.
amazina ninye Dr. Nicholas Kamara, MP Kabale Municipality. Barunjimwe ubwire butulimu n'ubwire bimunonga n'ubwire bw'indwara ya COVID-19. Abamwe bamazire ku bukwatwa burwire, abandi nangwa icyo busasi bamazire kufa. Nandabasha bandabehanangiriza kugira ngo burwire bumpaha butatwata kandi butajanjara. Turebeke ngo twakuratira endagiriro ya Ministry of Health. Umwe harimo kujwara mask, kandi mask wamara kujwara jijware eshweke eminwa n'inyindo, kandi ogumujujire bulikire kona. Ogumona bo mu ngaro buri shaha wamara kukwata ahantu hona kandi okolese na sanitizer. Otagumara kwata omumisho no mu nyindo no mu kanwa ubwire bwona wo kukwatamu reba ngo wayoza amisho kandi wanabo mu ngaro wamara kukwatamu. Kumara muri umuruterane